Greetings, my fellow post-apocalyptic settlers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of a new series covering Oxygen First Breath. If you'd like to skip the introduction to the video, please use YouTube chapters. Episode 1. Learn to Play. Oxygen is a game where you build a city around an oxygen center and ensure your people's survival in a post-apocalyptic future. It's somewhat of a cross between like Frostpunk and other post-apocalyptic city builders like Surviving the Aftermath or Endzone and World Apart. And I'll be showcasing the game, including the tutorials, for better or for worse, and then also playing the survival campaign, probably on normal difficulty, but maybe I'll play on hard, I'm not sure. And of course, as always, this will air on YouTube. So the demo is free on Steam right now. You are restricted to the first 50 days. There's a lot more development and progress to be made after those. You know, it's kind of a slow burn game. But let's kick it up. I'm going to do the normal game, skipping the tutorials, but then covering all the game mechanics as well as I can. I mean, I'm not super experienced, and of course this is just the demo, but I think that might be better. So I will play a normal difficulty game, and we'll call this Yoda. So right at the start here, I'll describe a little bit of the UI and game mechanics. For right now, it is a static map, so when you play, it's always this map. I am sure in further development, it will change. In the top left, you have your professions. If you click it, it drops down. Should be pretty familiar, like a lot of the colony builder games. And you have builders and laborers, and then also specialty workers. Then you have the homelessness, so 16 homes, or 16 people, no homes, how much energy you have stored, and your oxygen center, that is the sort of center of your town. Think like Frostpunk, with there being like a center, stores some power. What materials you have, you drop down, you can see the different materials, foods, and then water. Water being stored, I think, in your storage? Yeah. On the top right, you've got the day. So you've got each season is just 9 days, kind of like how RimWorld does 15 days. Winter, spring, summer, autumn. And then the individual weather conditions. Most of these are sort of cosmetic, except for, of course, like wind storms. The time, and then focusing on the oxygen center, the help menu if you need it, for all of the different UI elements and game mechanics. And then in terms of the actual map, what's really important is locating water, and then these cracks and trees. And I'll be going over all of that soon. Let me turn down it a little bit. There we go. So first order of business, we have the event log down here, which covers what needs to happen. So right now, what needs to happen is I need to build houses. And then in the bottom right, we have tasks. What sort of quests that you get. The quests in this game are very similar to Endzone and World Apart, where it's like, produce X amount of resources for more of that resource. We have the vote of confidence of whether people are like you or not. And there's a periodic check to how well you're doing as a leader. You have your statistics of your population, how long their uniforms will last, what their confidence, education, productivity, competence level, age, name, all that stuff. And then charts if you want it, as well as production charts. I don't know where they're getting French fries, but there's also, of course, this is a demo, so there's stuff in development. So there's works in progress here as well. Here's the actual ruins where you can sort what kind of things you can get from those ruins. So if you're looking for a specific material, let's say stone, we can highlight all of the stone so you don't have to go like wandering around for it, which is really nice inclusion in this game that a lot of other games don't have, where you have to like scratch your head and go, I don't know where the nearest plastic node is, and you're stuck trying to find it for a long time. So I really like that feature. The build menu, I'll get that in a second. And then the build menu unlocks Research Center, Signal Tower, and Radar, which allows you to contact other survivors. So the first order of business is to get some houses. Everything's on a bit of a grid system, as you can see. And the green of the buildings you are able to build roads on, which helps speed up commute time, which is actually relatively important in this game because people need to... They have a finite amount of oxygen in their suits, so they need to travel in order to refill their oxygen, and if they're stuck on long trips, they might die or suffocate or something like that. So there's some other game mechanics in play. These hotspots generate power once you unlock the gas extractor. The gas extractor will be active for about 10 days once built. You don't get refunded or anything like that. And then you can also see where future cracks are going to happen. So in 3.6 days, there'll be a crack here. When the crack erupts, it will damage or possibly destroy everything in its radius. And then also, anyone standing there could be killed as well. So you have to be careful about that. So this, for instance, is erupting in 0.5 days, and that might pose a threat. And then another really interesting feature of this game, compared to a lot of other games, is the oxygen that you have to supply to your citizens, you can also supply through taking care of trees. It isn't exactly realistic, but if you periodically water a tree enough and you take care of it, it will start generating oxygen for you and create like a bit of a bubble where the people and the facilities within the radius of the tree will get oxygen for free. So that's an interesting mechanic that you should not sleep on. So you'll see a lot of colonies built around the trees that you take care of. So that's exactly what we're going to do initially. We have to decide what kind of facilities we want to put around the tree, and probably work facilities, I'd imagine. So let's get our initial houses. So the houses, I'm going to stick just around the starting building. And I'll do 4 for now and get them working. So the other thing is I'm going to have to issue people to be... The builders will build, and you can change the building priorities here, pause them, or dismantle them. But other things that we're going to want pretty early on will also be food, water, power, that kind of thing. So here we go. Here is our first task. And they want water, food, and houses. So if I accept, I get metal, stone, and confidence points. And if I decline, I lose confidence points. And there's a specific deadline here, which is going to have to be met. So I need 4 container houses, a fishing dock, a water purifier, and a canteen. Okay. So the fishing docks and water purifiers have to go in the water, as one might imagine. So here is the fishing dock. And right next to it, the water purifier. And I believe I set this up so that they're flush with one another, I hope. It's not a big deal if they're not. And then last but not least is the canteen. And the canteen is where people go for food and water. And you're probably going to want to have this sphere of influence of the canteen overlap your houses, I'd imagine, so that people can actually get the food and water that they want. So I'm going to stick that here. And let people start building. So 14 out of the 16 people that I have in this community are assigned to constructions because we start off with enough raw materials to get everything built. And then eventually, once some of these facilities are built, I will start to employ them in other professions, as scavenging or taking care of the tree. In fact, let's have a tree caretaker right now. So Kira is going to start bringing water from storage and watering the tree. So I haven't shown you the tree overlay yet, but the way this works is water is brought to the tree, and periodically it adds vitality to the tree. And if you mouse over, it will show you. The tree's vitality, once it reaches 80%, it will start generating a tree dome and acts as a natural oxygen center. And then the dome expands to its maximum at 100%. And there are going to be trees sort of dotted, a few trees dotted on this map. So there are 3 of them. And there's also this river running through, which becomes important a little bit later on. and more water sources, and quite a lot of things to scavenge. So now we're starting to build the container houses. Here's our first one. And right now, these container houses are being supplied with oxygen. Now, no matter what, the oxygen center will supply oxygen. But what you can do is you can set up the oxygen center to supply all buildings with oxygen, some buildings with oxygen, or no buildings with oxygen, depending on your power consumption. So container houses, for instance, are always oxygenated, but other buildings you can toggle. So that's 3 out of the 4 houses. And we're going to get the water and fishing up soon. And you can see the construction progress here as it goes up. Now the children are just sort of hanging around. So if you're like, hey, what are those 2 freeloaders? They're just children. They don't work yet. UI elements sounds a little high. Now what I'm planning on doing is having a lot of the work facilities around this tree to provide free oxygen, but one could make the argument that I should have put the container houses there instead. On normal difficulty, it might not be all that necessary to like sort of min-max like that, but on harder difficulties, it's definitely required. Now, if you're looking for other things, like food, for instance, you can scavenge for it. There's canned goods out here. So if your fishing docks don't supply enough food, you can at least temporarily supplement with some scavenging. But water has to come from fresh water sources, at least for now, so don't have a lot of choices about that. So here's the fishing dock, and we can employ up to 3 people there. And the way it works is it takes a certain amount of time to produce, like, the set amount of production. So if I had 1 person working there, it would just take longer to make 3 fish, rather than having 3 people working there. So it's not like 1 person makes 1 fish. They still make 3 fish, it just takes longer. So it is pretty handy if you're, if you just want to keep the productions going, you can just pare down your workforce. But I'm going to fill up the water purifier, and then fill up the fishing dock rather, and 3 out of 4 for the water purifier. And you can always mouse over your food and water production to try to have it balance out, because there's not a whole lot of point to having a lot of excess of one thing. At this point, I have a lot of people that are idle. There's only so many people that are working on the canteen. Once this canteen's built, all those other people are going to need other jobs. So something that we can start to do is to scavenge or to tend to the other trees. So for now, I'm going to send 1 more adult over to tend to that tree. And this tree starts at 39%. This one also at 39%, so it's going to take longer than this one that started at 60%. It's already up to 61%. So basic needs are met, and this task is completed, and I gained confidence points, metal, and stone. Cool. Let's put someone in the canteen. And we should see the... Well, taking care of 2 trees is actually going to strain water production, so I'm going to put yet another adult in there. And it looks like I have 4 constructors, and those 4 constructors aren't currently doing anything. So I'm going to have 2 constructors go over to the car rack, and 2 go over to the stone rack and start to scavenge it. So at least they're working. I think we're about to see this crack dissipate. So energy production is down at the moment. There's a few different ways to produce energy. You could produce energy just by mining coal, and it's brought to the, I think it's brought to the oxygen center to produce power. It's dirty. It requires a lot of manual labor. Oh, there we go. There's a crack explosion. Alternatively, you can harness the gas cracks, and then there's other later game research projects that you'll see once I get a research building up. But I'm just waiting until the events task me with that. Not to jump the gun. That's a big helicopter, huh? So if I wanted to supply oxygen to the fishing dock and the water purifier so that the people working there wouldn't have to go seek oxygen from other facilities once they are once they're out, you can turn it on like that, and that drives up your energy consumption. So as you can see, my energy production is not meeting the demand, and my power stored is going to plummet as a result. This is really important, especially during windstorms, which we'll get into once I hit my first windstorm. But if you have a specific thing that you need to produce a lot of, it's really nice to keep the oxygen on so that your workers don't have downtime seeking out their own oxygen. But if it's a not needed luxury, it's weird to think oxygen is a luxury. But if it's not needed luxury, you can turn it off. So here is another gas crack. And I've got 1 day to exploit it with a gas extractor, which is not going to happen in a day. Or it explodes and then takes a certain amount of time to dissipate in order to make the area usable. And you don't want to be caught around there when it explodes. So if you're trying to make gas extractors, make sure that you have plenty of time to construct it. Because if it's down to the wire, you might lose some people when it erupts on you. Not a good time. So according to the game, I am currently breaking even on water. A little bit south of breaking even on food. And I can always remove one scavenger to then put them to collect cans. So what is the closest cans? This. So this is what some of the, speaking of the things to scavenge, you've got individual little wrecks, like this one, which is just gears, or this one, gears again, metal planks or coal. That requires research, as does the metal stockpile, which is over here, metal deposit. But then some of them have multiple workplaces, so this metal shed could hypothetically employ 15 people, 5 in canned fish, 5 in metal planks, 5 in metal, and it has a finite amount of resources. And then, of course, once it's exhausted, you'll have to move on to somewhere else. So there is finite scavenging, which means you should rely as little as possible on the finite resources on the map and head towards like metal processors and coal mines early. The game gives you plenty of time to sort of shift gears and unlock that stuff through research. But if you're very lazy and you're not prioritizing your research, you might be in for a rude awakening when you're like, oh, I'm out of coal and I don't have coal mines. So the next the next task should be coming any minute now. Taking a look at my resources, I would actually say it might be more important for me to get metal over gears. So I'm going to have these guys start to get some metal. And here's a case of this adult having to come back to HQ to fulfill their needs. And we have a new task. Let's generate electricity from crack with the help of a gas extractor. Alright, so in order to do that, we need to build a research center, unlock gas extracting, build a gas extractor, and then produce coal. Kind of a big task, but okay. So the research center, I'm going to plop right. Let's do it right here. And then that means I'm going to need to fire some of the scavengers that I had so that they can become builders. And I'm going to prioritize the research center because I also intend to build some dirt roads. I want to build some roads so that the people that have longer commutes can get to where they want to work a little bit faster to maximize their productivity and minimize their downtime. So this requires 30 stone, and I have 165, and then 40 plastic, and I have 135. So I have plenty of the resources in order to build the research center. Not so much an issue. I'm just laying out nice dirt roads around the oxygen center, around the houses, and fishing and water. And you can see now that my water's positive. My food is still negative, but it's holding pretty good. And they're getting that built. So I've got 5 days in order to get all that done. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a gas crack somewhere near me soon, because that would be another issue. This is contingent upon having gas nodes to even exploit in the first place. So, in my experience, it's not like super left up to luck, but it'd be bad if I did all the research, unlocked it, have all the resources to build the gas extractors, and then they didn't actually have any to extract. But here is the research tree. So container houses go to shelters, duplexes, apartments. We've got food and water. So plant houses, kitchens, canning stations, fish farms, water desalinators, water wells, and rain collectors. For resources, different storages, coal mine, metal processing, quarry, metalworks, gear workshop, brickworks, Kevlar, and plastic collector. For energy, batteries, large batteries, gas extractors, undersea gas extractors, water turbines, solar panels, wind turbines, and wave power stations. For tech, we've got Research Center, which I'm currently building, Institute Submarine Dock, which is like immigration. Signal tower and radar, which help to encourage people to immigrate. Trade dock, weather station, and oxygen tower. For community, the medical post, which I should build probably pretty soon, but I think the game will prompt me. Hospital, school, tailor, temple, cafe, cemetery, and playground. And this relates to their confidence, whether they like you or not. For decorations, and this also helps confidence, we've got some, like a random, it looks like a tank blocking bollard or whatever they're called. But yeah, we got one of them. And then, of course, lighted tree, fountain, globe, clock tower, and ivy dome. And then you can put trees down in order to try to tree dome. So this is sort of the what a tree dome will look like. And the other trees, and then roads. Research center is almost done. Dome was smaller than you'd expect? Yeah. Yeah, you do have to sort of huddle your workforce around the dome if you want to get bang for your buck out of it. So the research center is on. I'm going to turn on the oxygen generator for it so that the people that work there, Braxton, Ziamara, and Jamie, don't need to walk away. And then I have one more person working in construction, and they're just going to be laying down roads. So just like with all the other work facilities, the more people that you have, the higher your productivity. They're generating research, and then research is used in the research tree. So here's the research tree. We have got special projects on the side here. Gas extractor is the one that obviously we're going to go for first, which costs 15 research. But you can see some of the others cost 300, 250, 50, 200. And then they lead to other things, like shelter goes to duplex and apartment, plant house goes to kitchen and tomato seeds, Sentinel Tower goes to canning station and radar, coal mine goes to metal processing and quarry, and metalworks goes to gear workshop and Kevlar. And then you have the this sort of research tree in here with cafe and tailor, and then with additional research we can unlock additional trees currently not available in the demo, but still you can peek in as to what will eventually be there. This worker might need a road as well. Out to his tree. Alright, looks good. Let's check in on my confidence. So confidence is going up a little bit. People like the buildings. They like my task performance. Let's head in the right direction. And each individual has their own needs here. So I guess this is a good place to show you. So Jamie has a individual competence level, which averages out with everybody else. We can see their home, their workplace, how much oxygen, food, water, health they have, what their social life, spirituality, and leisure is like, their sort of general education and competence level, and then their productivity. We take a look at some other people. As you can see, a lot of their productivities are really rather low as a result of low education. Or I'm not really sure what drives, other than like commute. Not really sure what drives the other productivity levels, but I don't think I can do much at the moment to change that. You can also track the individuals and rename them if you want. Okay, so we do have a crack that's oozing, which is really useful because we're going to need to exploit those for this task. So one more starts oozing soon. Because because I don't think there's any other actives on the map. So that's the goal, to tap that for energy, because my energy consumption is heading really in the wrong direction. What I am going to do, though, is pull this tree worker off for a moment and instead put them harvesting coal. Part of this task here is for me to produce and gather at least 15 coal. So instead of watering this tree out here, which I'm not really ready to build facilities around that to take advantage of that tree, I might as well have them working towards the coal goal. The coal goal, yeah. That doesn't sound odd. So what are my power generator, or my power users now? If we go to the menus here, we can kind of see at least the raw resources, like how many uniforms we use per day on average, things like that. The dead, tracking dead people. Productivity, which is a big whopping E. Confidence in education. Now that I don't have a second tree to water, I could, yeah, you're right. I could cut one more person off the water purifier to help build the roads. Double it! Everybody knows municipal workers work as slowly as possible. Will these early streams continue? Not likely, no. Not unless they have to, because of like scheduling conflicts. All right, I do have enough science to unlock gas extractors, so let's go do that. So we spend 15 research, get the gas extractors, and then in energy, we can build gas extractors. And I'm going to prioritize this because it's more important than the roads. And these cost gears and plastic. And I've got plenty of gears and plastic in order to fulfill this individual task. What I don't have necessarily is the coal harvested yet. I'll have to keep an eye on that. So here you can see what is in the danger zone if it did explode, which is of course the gas extractor, which is kind of obvious because I'm building on top of the gas extractor, or the oozing gas crack. So like, no duh, it's in the danger zone, it should be. So this one is built in time. And then in the energy production, you'll see this gas extractor help to offset my oxygen requirements. But my power consumption, why isn't it plummeted like that? Let me turn off all generators for a minute. Don't steal my power. And there's a new crack. Perfect, because I needed 2 of them. So get that built. Raise the priority of that, so we build that over roads. I don't think you can change the priority of roads. They're probably just defaulted to low, I'd imagine. Don't quote me on that, though. And now in the forecast up top, we can see that windy is coming. And windy is a particularly dangerous weather event. So that's something to be prepared for. I'm also using up a lot of the gears and plastic that I had. So if we want to continue to build gas extractors, I'm going to need to prioritize scavengers on the car, and then scavengers grabbing plastics from this hut, this shed, and these buildings over here. Okay. Rewarded with confidence points, coal, and metal. Perfect. It also stops it from exploding once you tap it. So the gas extractor helps to mitigate the disaster itself. So it serves like a twofold purpose. And I'll continue the builders to build the roads that I have queued up. And then once they're done, I'll put them on plastic and gears, I think. Unless another task comes up. So in the research center, I almost have enough to get a coal mine. But I'm not going to spend my research until tasks require me to. I'll just wait. Now, another thing to be aware of is different facilities require different amounts of power when supplied with oxygen. So, for instance, the research center requires 4, which is the same as all 4 houses. The canteen requires 1. Not that you can move the water purifier and fishing dock necessarily to starting trees, but they require 3 and 2 alike. So when you're planning out your city, some buildings, like container houses, do require oxygen all the time so that, you know, people don't die in their sleep. But the really high oxygen demanding buildings that are expensive otherwise to power up, if they needed imported oxygen, are really nice to put around your trees so that you can lower the cost. So like one thing I might do is to try to nest a tree in here in order to offset some of the costs, the oxygen costs for these buildings. Alternatively, I could move the container houses to surround this tree. We can make that decision later on. Oh, but here we go. Here's some of the roads. Looking good. Drinks on you? Well, thank you, Crimson. It's like they're playing Leapfrog. Dev should have added color lights to the tree during winter. Well, there is a decoration, which is lighted tree. So, I think the devs have your back on that one. My current confidence is almost up to level 2. We're getting there. You can also see how certain events break down. So newborn babies bring in extra points. People that join through the submarine dock and signal tower bring points. People leaving lose points. And then if there's no cemetery, people who die of hunger, thirst, illness, crack explosions lowered as well. Of course, I don't have cemetery unlocked, so let's try to keep people alive instead. And then for exploration, any new location exploration by radar or signal tower brings extra points. For building, each completed building brings extra points. Each demolished or collapsed building lowers the total score, so it cancels each other out. And then task performance is just, if you complete tasks, and that it varies depending on your game difficulty. So the harder the difficulty, the less you gain. And the last one there was trees. Each tree reaching 100% vitality will bring extra points as well. People really, really like high vitality trees when they hit 100%. Just a few more road segments left, and I think, yep. So we could tell that they're idle because they're just kind of standing around here now. So I did say gears and plastic, did I not? So here we go, gears and plastic. Because I think the next ooze that I get, I'll probably want to tap that as well. So another thing to consider is, because you get the gas extractors for 15 days, I thought it was 10 days because I think on hard difficulty it's only 10 days. But you're going to want to constantly sort of build new ones until you have less expensive renewable energy. Do the trees you plant have a vitality bar? Let's get one down. So let's put this here. You have a limited amount of trees. If it's not possible to change the location of a tree after the placement, therefore you should be careful. I forget how many trees we have. Oh, 3. 3 left. Let's do it anyway. For science. And then I need one more person to be working that. Let's, for now, reduce the water. That's probably the wrong industry to pare down. So one less in the fishing dock instead. So there's the tree. The new tree. With its own vitality bar, and starts off at 50%. New task. Let's build a submarine dock so that new people can join us by using it. That costs 50 metal. So the submarine dock has to be built, well, on the water. But specifically, I believe it has to be built on that river. I don't think the other water is applicable. And I'm going to build it right there. It doesn't really need a road because it's used so infrequently, but I'm going to add a road anyway. Then to actually build it, we need to fire off our plastic and... There, waited till the production was done. Plastic and gear collectors. And that gives... building the submarine dock will give us plastic and gears, so... we're still getting what we wanted, just in a different way. Kira's getting pretty close to getting the vitality of this cedar tree up to 100%, or 80% rather, where it starts to supply oxygen to the oxygen center, which will be really nice because I get to save power on that. Because our power consumption is still above our production, which then requires us to burn coal in order to keep things going. Yeah, Tusk is moving around back there. See if I can't lure her. Here she is. Okay, construction has started. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen First Breath, which originally streamed live on Twitch, February 28th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my gaming community, Rhadamant.com also has a link to Discord, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream of another game. Farewell, my fellow post-apocalyptic settlers.